Hello out there in Facebook land. I'm Rob.
And I'm Carlee.
And we're the Vintage Freaks. And here at Ron's from 11 to 4 today, we are absolutely going atomic. So, in the early 20th century, the health properties of the infamous mineral springs were discovered, and thousands of people flocked all over just to try their hand to cure what ailed them. So, science stepped in. And of course, early science, not being up to snuff with what it is today, determined that the reason why these health springs and these health spas were so effective was none other than radiation in the water in the form of radon gas. So it didn't take long for the medical quackery market to get involved. And of course, quackery was abundant. It's been going on since the dawn of time. But as we had more sophisticated ways to sell it, it got even better. So you had companies, one of the most infamous being the Revigator Corporation, who promised to deliver radioactive water that was just as radioactive as the waters of Saratoga Springs, except from the comfort of your own home. You didn't even have to buy an expensive train ticket. This here happens to be an original Revigator. It was made approximately 1912. So the Revigator itself was very simple. The whole crock is lined with radium salts and various other radioactive ores. So the instructions which are on the bottom of the Revigator simply say, fill with a high quality water from any hose or hydrant. Allow to sit overnight. Upon waking, drink 1 glass, and of course, continue to drink until you're cured. Everything from arthritis to dementia was all just a simple glass of radium water away. So, of course, one of the most infamous cases of this was a gentleman by the name of Eben Byers. Eben Byers was a bit of a playboy, if you will. He was a socialite in Manhattan, born in 1880, and he was one of the original golf superstars. Think the days before Tiger Woods, you had Eben Byers. So Eben toured the country. Well, on one such trip, he was riding the New York Central line in a top bunk when the train had to stop short because of horses in the middle of the tracks. Eben wasn't prepared for it. He was in a sound sleep, fell off the top bunk, injured that famous golf arm of his, and now we had a problem. So, of course, Eben went to the curative properties of the Revigator. In the course of his short life, he drank approximately 1,400 glasses of radium water. 1,400 glasses. He started to realize he wasn't feeling well, and soon the curative properties were replaced by bone decay. His obituary in the Wall Street Journal of 1932 read, "The radium water worked fine until his jaw came off." Here are some images of Mr. Byers. Unfortunately, not pleasant to see, but this was the start of the government stepping in. And of course, Coolidge and Hoover really decided that these things were getting out of hand and established a brand new branch of the government. That's right, the FDA. So following the instructions as prescribed by the Revigator Corporation, looks safe to me. So let's give it a shot, shall we? That is truly disgusting. But apparently, the fountain of youth. Matter of fact, let's have a listen to this old Revigator commercial.
Find the health you're looking for with the Grand Revigator. The power of radium will help you to become quite vigorous. Your water's wilted, it's the truth. So you need this fountain of youth. Prime it up every day, drink your disease away, and be robust. The shadow of a doubt upon the water that you drink, removed by the Revigator, it puts you back in the pink. Radioactivity makes you feel oh so healthy, you'll never grow old. Yes, and you'll feel bold, and you'll thank us for the wonderful Revigator.
Now, the fun part about this is that there was also another fun material. It was called uranium. Now, of course, uranium, as we all know, is maybe not the funnest thing, But uranium dioxide was found to have a green coloring agent which could be used to color green glass, and green glass was quite popular, known as depression glass, or sometimes, in the presence of an opalescent rim or accent, Vaseline glass. The green color is, of course, uranium dioxide, which, of course, when you put a Geiger counter to it, it'll definitely give you a reading. So we're going to show you some other bits of medical quackery. And of course, as we show you, you'll be amazed with some of the things they used to do back then.
Rob, isn't that not safe?
You're right. I'll put it down. So not since Ben Franklin put that key on the kite and discovered that lightning was electrically charged did we have so much fun with electricity. And of course, this is a quack medical shocker. So as we can see, it's got a graduated scale on it, and it has these electrodes, which simply plug in. You have three choices. You have door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. Now, we've restored this. We probably should not have restored it, but we did. And as a result, using standard D-cell batteries, this can deliver between 3,500 to 5,000 volts using the oscillator coil. So if you can imagine, they say it's not the voltage that kills you, it's the amps. Well, sometimes I'd say that the cure is worse than the disease. Now, we just showed you a spark plug. Well, this is not quite a spark plug. Butt plug. So anyway, Dr. Young's radical cure. So in quackery in true format, anything from constipation, piles, hysteria could simply be treated apparently by Dr. Young's radical cure. The lube has been used. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a 100-year-old tube of mostly used lube. I guess somebody enjoyed it. So as if that weren't bad enough, here we have the Master Violet Ray. Now, do you remember how I said that some of these devices are still being sold today? Well, guess what? Violet rays are a thing. So if we've all gone to some specialty stores and we see the plasma balls, decorations, you put your hands on the outside and the spark jumps and you play around with it. They came out as the eye of the storm in the 80s. Imagine what happens when the spark jumps out of the glass. And this is a violet ray. A simple plug-in, a whiff of ozone, and you have violet sparks jumping out from these electrodes. You could change the electrodes for various usage. In other words, this would be a muscle relaxing electrode. They had combs. They had all sorts of various applicators. And yes, let's say some were a little more intimate than others. So people chose to apply high voltage and sparks to various points so that they could heal their ailment. As I mentioned, they are still being sold today, believe it or not. One of these may be seen in a very famous Museum of Oddities. And of course, you can see one right here at Ron's Consignments. Or better yet, if it suits your collection, why not take it home with you? Many people have never seen one of these sterilizers. Now, the lid itself is so incredibly heavy, it probably weighs close to 25, 30 pounds just for the lid. But of course, the idea was that when placed in a relative vacuum, your items could not allow bacteria to grow and they would be sterilized. Now, I don't know about you, but placing my items that could potentially be used for surgery in just a simple glass vessel with the only idea that the lid was too heavy to allow anything to penetrate wasn't exactly my idea of sterile, but it was medical quackery. Well, good to meet you too. And great to meet this vintage medicine cabinet. Now, this medical cabinet is actually loaded with lots of fun stuff, including quackery bottles, baby bottles, and of course, all the interesting stuff. For example, a guitar cure. A guitar cure. When was the last time you heard anybody having a case of guitar? I mean, was that something that you got when you sat down in the outhouse? I have no idea. But the point is that if you're looking for some bizarre cures, here it is. And including, let's see, do we have some horse liniment? We do. Perfect. So again, if you're looking for that collection of odd and unusual, look no further than Ron's Consignment, 714 Washington Avenue, right here in Woodbine. Just a reminder, We have limited openings on the weekends, at least through March, but you never know exactly what you'll find here. So do feel free to look us up on Facebook, and always you can stop by Saturday, Sundays, 714 Washington Avenue, Woodbine, New Jersey, and of course come see the treasures we have to offer here. Can't wait to see you. Have a great weekend.